If you were waiting for HTC to deliver something big, here it is. The HTC One has officially been announced at press events in London and New York City, and it's packing some awesome specifications all around and some new things as well. I had my hands on with it a couple of weeks ago and was really impressed with the way it felt in the hand, the build quality, all the different features it provided, and more. I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. Let's recap what the HTC One has. So let's talk about the HTC One with HTC Zoe, which was just announced at HTC's joint events in New York City and in London. A few weeks ago I had my hands on with it. I've worked with it extensively, or at least for a couple of hours, and I'll tell you, it is an absolutely fantastic device from bottom up. I mean, it's got beautiful build quality. The speakers on the front, fantastic improvement if you're somebody that listens to music or watches YouTube videos on a regular basis, and it's got some incredible internal specs as well, not to mention a build quality that really rivals the iPhone 5. All too often we talked about build quality when it comes to Android versus iOS. This is one of the first Android devices I've worked with where you put this thing in your hand and this thing matches, if not exceeds, and I'd say exceeds, the build quality of the Apple iPhone 5. Now specs-wise, as you would expect for a flagship device, this thing is packed to the gills with a 1.7 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU. I almost said S4. But it's Snapdragon 600 CPU. It's got a 4.7-inch 1080p display, HD display, with 468 ppi. It's got on the back a camera that utilizes something called HTC UltraPixels. Now, they've revitalized the camera from the ground up, and honestly, when you look at the megapixel count, I think it's like 4 or 5 megapixels, which seems like not a whole lot. It seems pretty terrible for a flagship device. But what they've done is revitalize the camera, featured some incredible features in this device for beautiful pictures with a bit, with aperture and more. It's an incredible camera, and I'll tell you, you're not going to see it on the placards in the retail stores, 4 megapixels by any means. You're going to see an ultra-pixel camera with Zoe, and it gives the retail reps some time to talk about the feature. On that note, HTC Zoe is a fantastic feature that I actually thought was kind of a gimmick at first, and then I worked with it for a few minutes and into the rest of the meeting series that I had, and was incredibly impressed with how well it performed. I mean, a beautiful, beautiful camera, and you can take pictures, and each time you take a picture, it records a 3-second clip. So let's say you're at a wedding. Let's say I was at a wedding last weekend. I record a bunch of pictures, take a bunch of pictures rather, and I'll have these beautiful 3-second captures in addition to the still picture that I can use in the gallery. And so you'll see your gallery come to life, and it's something that's entirely different, and really when you think about it, an area that hasn't been that dramatically revitalized over the years. We've seen better processors and better memory and better screens, but we haven't really seen better cameras, or at least innovations on the camera front. So really excited about that. It also packs 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 or 64 gigabytes of internal storage, depending on your carrier and whatever comes to whatever market. 2,300 milliamp hour battery as well, 4G LTE connectivity, availability on AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile in the States by March, according to the press release. And I'll tell you, the build quality is just to die for. It's a beautiful build quality. The 1080p display just pops, and the speakers on the front give it this really nice sound all around. So whether you're watching YouTube videos or you're browsing the web, you're listening to a sound clip, you're going to absolutely love the sound quality on this device. It's absolutely gorgeous. Cannot wait for this device to come out. It brings a level of beauty to Android, so you can say, you know what, you don't have to be cheap plastic. It can be beautiful and have metal and have beautiful glass and a 1080p HD display and an awesome camera. It really brings kind of a refined device to the Android side, at least in terms of build quality. It's got it all. It's got features, build quality, and more. So I'm excited to see this thing land on the market with some of its awesome specifications. It also packs Android 4.1 with HTC Sense version 5, which brings some awesome features to the table that we'll talk about very, very soon. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of the HTC One with HTC Zoe, all the features and specifications. We'll be covering them at length in the next couple of days and next couple of weeks on PhoneDog.com. Hit me up with your questions, PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter, Facebook, Facebook.com/Hi Aaron Baker. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more on the HTC One on PhoneDog.com.